She was expected to be the star witness of the FTX trial, and she didn't disappoint. Caroline Ellison, former CEO of the now defunct trading firm Alameda Research and ex-girlfriend of former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, spent 3 days on the witness stand testifying that Bankman-Fried had directed her to commit crimes, including using FTX customer deposits to prop up the floundering Alameda. Ellison had already pleaded guilty to several charges of fraud and conspiracy and was cooperating with the prosecution in their case against Bankman-Fried. Let's look at some of the key revelations from Ellison's testimony. Ellison revealed that Bankman-Fried once became upset at her because he felt she spoke too openly about their trading activity around other employees. He also urged her to be more careful about what she put in writing and not to write down anything she wouldn't want to appear in the New York Times. Ironically, Sam Bankman-Fried wound up leaking many of Ellison's writing to the New York Times in an attempt to paint her as a poor leader, and Ellison would end up handing the prosecution a key piece of evidence when she openly discussed their trading activity to a room full of employees. One of the most anticipated pieces of evidence in the trial was a recording obtained by the prosecution in which Ellison basically confessed everything FTX and Alameda executives had done and named names, and it was all caught on tape. The recording was played for the jury during the trial. In the final days of Alameda and FTX, Ellison called an all-hands meeting for Alameda employees. Laughing and giggling nervously throughout, she admitted that Alameda had borrowed money via open-term loans and used them to make various illiquid investments. And when many lenders called back those loans after the crypto crash, Alameda did not have the money to repay them and used FTX customer deposits to pay off the debts. When an employee asked who else at Alameda or FTX had known about the use of customer deposits, Ellison admitted that it was SBF herself, Nishat Singh, and Gary Wong, the latter three of whom would eventually plead guilty and cooperate with the prosecution. When another employee asked whose idea it had been to use customer funds, Ellison replied, "Sam, I guess." During her testimony, she explained that the "I guess" was a vocal tic, not a question, and confirmed that it had indeed been Sam's idea. She also admitted to employees that FTX basically always allowed Alameda to, borrow user funds, as far as I know. The meeting was secretly recorded by an Alameda employee who had been working there for just 3 days, and the recording was eventually turned over to prosecutors. During the trial, Ellison claimed that she had revealed so much during that meeting because, with FTX facing collapse, she felt she could finally tell her staff the truth. During FTX and Alameda's collapse, Ellison sent a message to Bankman-Fried saying, "I just had an increasing dread of this day that was weighing on me. Now that it's actually happening, it just feels great to get it over with." The entire courtroom was silent as Ellison cried on the stand and was handed tissues by a court clerk as she explained that the message meant that she was just relieved that she no longer had to keep lying and could start taking responsibility for her actions. Before the trial, in yet another attempt to make Ellison look like an unfit leader, SBF had leaked to journalists that Ellison once cried during a meeting. On the witness stand, Ellison revealed exactly what had occurred in this meeting. SBF, speaking loudly and strongly, had told Ellison that she was largely responsible for the financial situation that Alameda was in. Ellison claimed she got very upset, started crying, and had trouble continuing the conversation. SBF and his lawyers have frequently claimed that Alameda's financial hole was caused by Ellison's failure to hedge as SBF had advised. Ellison admitted that the hedging would have helped, but stressed that the fundamental problems were Bankman-Fried's decision to use customer funds and his decision to make so many illiquid investments, such as investing in startups that would take time to show returns. The prosecution accused SBF of trying to intimidate Ellison while she was on the stand by scoffing, shaking his head, and laughing from his seat while she was testifying. The prosecution said that it may be having an effect on her given the history of their relationship, the prior attempts to intimidate her, by which they probably meant his leaking of her diaries to the press, the power dynamic between them, and their prior romantic relationship. The prosecution asked the defense counsel to tell SBF to control his visible reactions to her testimony. Ellison provided a bit of insight into the mental gymnastics that Sam Bankman-Fried used to justify his action. She revealed that he had a utilitarian philosophy which said that rules like don't lie and don't steal didn't matter as long as the end result was the greatest good for the greatest number of people. SBF reportedly once said that he would be willing to flip a coin if tails meant that the world would be destroyed, but heads meant that it would be twice as good. Sam Bankman-Fried reportedly boasted to Caroline Ellison that there was a 5% chance that he was going to be president of the United States one day. Ellison provided some insight as to why she went along with using customer funds to prop up Alameda. She made a back-of-the-envelope calculation and predicted that there was only a 21% chance that using FTX customer deposits to pay off Alameda's loans would result in the alleged fraud being exposed by a run on withdrawals. She thought that things could be really bad if Alameda were to have declared bankruptcy at that time, and reasoned that using customer money would buy them time to raise the money some other way before anybody found out. Ellison also revealed other details, such as that Bankman-Fried directed her to use creative accounting to hide that Alameda was borrowing so much money from FTX, that he encouraged her to list those problematic FTX tokens FTT on Alameda's balance sheet in order to make it appear that Alameda owned more assets so that Alameda could secure larger loans, and that the actual total amount that Alameda borrowed from FTX customers was $14 billion, but they had managed to repay some of it. Thanks for watching. If you found this update valuable, don't forget to like and subscribe and check out our longer form video profile of Caroline Ellison.